Okay, let's unpack this. You sent us some truly wild material.
It's something else, isn't it?
It really is. And we are diving deep today into the story of a figure whose influence on global events, well, frankly, it dwarfs anything you've probably ever heard. Forget the butterfly effect. We are witnessing the the Gianni effect in full bewildering force.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how this narrative forces us to reconsider the very nature of historical catalysts.
Yeah.
And these cyclical patterns of conflict,
Yeah.
all through the lens of, well, literal dunking. It's a profound thought experiment, really.
Wrapped in the most absurd.
Exactly. Absurd, yet strangely consistent packaging. It holds together in its own weird way.
It really does. Today, we're exploring a single, dense, and utterly perplexing source. It paints this picture of a legendary, almost mythical figure known simply as Gianni.
Right.
And this isn't your typical historical biography, not at all. This is an account of a force of nature, maybe, a paradox, and apparently a world-changing, time-bending donkey.
Very unique combination.
So our mission today is to try and untangle Gianni's timeline, analyze his, monumental impact on major world events.
Yeah.
And perhaps, just perhaps, understand the existential implications of being what our source calls a dunk god.
The dunk god.
So what does this all mean, for our understanding of history, causality, free will error, maybe even the ultimate limits of personal power?
Big questions.
Huge. We're going to trace his path from, inadvertently sparking global conflict.
Inadvertently being a cool word there, maybe.
Maybe, all the way to battling alternate versions of himself across the very fabric of time. It's a lot.
Let's dive in.
So our story, or, well, this mind-bending legend, it kicks off in 1914. And this isn't just a casual beginning, it's explosive, world-altering.
Right off the bat.
The source makes it crystal clear, almost with, comical precision, that Gianni's very first documented act of dunking sets off World War I.
Can you even wrap your head around that?
I know. It states, unequivocally, he dunked so hard on Archduke Franz Ferdinand, sparking World War I.
Just
like that. That's not a subtle historical nudge, little push here or there. This is presented as a direct, undeniable cause and effect.
Yeah, initiated by a singular physical and, let's be honest, utterly absurd act.
Totally absurd.
And this raises a huge question right away, doesn't it? What kind of being?
Yeah.
What kind of person, maybe, could initiate such a global catastrophe with no apparent remorse?
Right. The source is so specific about that lack of emotion.
Exactly. It just hints at a power that operates well.
Yeah.
Far beyond conventional human morality or consequence. Almost like a force of nature.
Like a hurricane or something. It just happens.
Kind of. It's not just someone making a bad decision. It's presented as an entity whose very actions reshape geopolitical landscapes without a second thought, completely devoid of empathy or regret.
Yeah.
So this initial act, it immediately establishes Gianni not just as, an agent of chaos, but as a being whose influence transcends normal human motivations.
He acts almost as a deterministic trigger for these huge events.
Precisely. This isn't the great man theory of history we sometimes talk about.
No.
This is the great dunk theory, where one individual's physical action, no matter how nonsensical it seems to us, can utterly derail the course of nations.
And he didn't just, start the war and then step back.
Oh, no.
Our source elaborates on his direct wartime exploits. It says he went on to dunk on at least 3,000 confirmed enemies during his service time in the war.
3,000. Confirmed.
Confirmed. That's not just a high body count. That's a specific, almost statistical measure of his personal frontline involvement.
Right.
This isn't traditional trench warfare we're picturing, or strategic maneuvers from some general's tent.
No, this is one person, one Gianni, directly engaging with thousands, fundamentally changing the nature of conflict as we know it.
Well, it's a level of individual impact that utterly defies military logic. He's like a walking, dunking army unto himself.
And the consequences of his actions weren't just, immediate battlefield casualties or tactical wins.
There's that other detail.
Oh, yeah. The source gives us this incredibly vivid and almost comically extreme detail, doesn't it? On the Western Front, he dunked on the Germans so hard they apparently still outlaw basketball to this day.
Still, to this day.
I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, just imagine a single individual's actions having such a profound and lasting cultural impact.
Not just military, but cultural, affecting laws, daily life.
Centuries later, it speaks to the sheer overwhelming and unforgettable power of these dunks.
It does.
This isn't just a military victory, it's a psychological and societal imprint. So deep that an entire nation's relationship with a sport is just changed, irrevocably altered.
It's almost like a mythic origin story for a cultural ban, all from one guy dunking.
Exactly. It suggests that Gianni's power isn't just physical, it's resonant.
Yeah.
It's capable of creating these deeply rooted, almost generational reactions, trauma even.
So after World War I ends, you'd think maybe Gianni would, I don't know, take a break.
Reflect a bit, maybe.
Yeah. Reflect on the devastation. Try to integrate back into civilian life, something normal.
But no.
But no. The source explicitly tells us he continued dunking on random people. Presidents, monarchs, small children, anyone he could get his dunk on.
Anyone.
Anyone. It describes this escalating, almost indiscriminate application of his power. A complete lack of regard for status, age, innocence, anything.
It's pure, unadulterated, chaotic expression of this unique ability, utterly devoid of any discernible pattern or moral compass.
It really seems like his power, once it was unleashed, just had this momentum of its own, constantly seeking new targets.
And this period, this indiscriminate dunking phase, is actually crucial. It sets the stage for the next global conflict.
Right, World War II.
Yeah, further highlighting Gianni's role not just as a participant, but as a direct architect of history. The source specifically states, in 1939, he dunked on the entire nation of Poland, allowing the Germans to regroup and start World War II.
Just the entire nation. How does that even work?
The source doesn't elaborate on the mechanics, just the outcome. But it raises that important question again, was Gianni intentionally shaping geopolitical events?
Or was it just chaos? An uncontrollable force?
Exactly, an uncontrollable force that just happened to align perfectly with existing historical tensions, almost like an elemental power responding to the latent pressures of the world.
So his actions become less about him deciding things.
And more about an inevitable, perhaps even catalytic, function in the larger historical narrative. He's not just a player in the game. He's a force that seems to consistently destabilize and realign the chessboard.
Almost unconsciously nudging humanity towards its next big conflict.
It suggests that global equilibrium is constantly under threat from this singular, chaotic entity.
And if World War I was like a warm-up...
Which is a terrifying thought in itself.
Right. World War II saw Gianni unleashed with even more terrifying ferocity. Another 7,000 confirmed dunks took place during this conflict.
7,000. That's more than double the First War.
It's a staggering number. It indicates a dramatic escalation in his direct personal impact on the global stage.
He's not just passively allowing things to happen anymore, if he ever was.
No, he's actively, brutally involved, almost like the physical embodiment of global conflict itself. It's a testament to his singular, unyielding drive.
And the ultimate culmination of his power during this era. This is maybe the most bizarre detail yet. And that's saying something.
Go on.
The source says he was even dunking on Adolf himself, effectively ending the war he created.
Wow. So he starts it by dunking on Poland, enables the Germans,
Yeah.
and then ends it by dunking on Hitler.
What's fascinating here is the cyclical nature, right?
Yeah.
Even within a single conflict, Gianni, the instigator, also becomes the unlikely finisher.
It's a closed loop of cause and effect, centered entirely on his actions.
Exactly. It suggests his power isn't just about kicking things off, but also about providing a decisive, if utterly unconventional resolution.
He acts as both the ignition and the extinguisher.
Making him this singularly powerful and terrifying figure whose influence seems to encompass the entire arc of conflict. It's almost as if the universe just delegates the task of balancing its scales to him.
No matter how strange the method.
Precisely. No matter how strange.
Okay, so 2 world wars. Largely initiated and ended by one man's unimaginable dunking prowess.
And it beggars belief, really.
You'd think the global community would be absolutely desperate for a solution at this point. And they were.
Understandably so.
The source tells us the United Nations and NATO were established to try and counteract his dunking.
So these major international bodies.
Yeah. The pinnacles of international cooperation, military might, formed explicitly to deal with threats of global scale, but none could stop him. Utterly useless against Gianni.
Wow. It speaks volumes about the nature of his power, doesn't it? It seems to operate on an entirely different plane than conventional geopolitics or physics.
Anything.
Anything. And the sheer futility of their efforts is emphasized by this bizarre and escalating list of defenses that had no effect. Get this. Guns, bombs, gas, nukes Cream cheese had no effect.
Cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
I mean, that list. It ranges from the most destructive weapons known to humanity to a household dairy product. It just dramatically underscores the unparalleled, anomalous nature of Gianni's power.
It really highlights the limits of traditional power structures against such an unquantifiable, unpredictable force. It's a statement about how conventional might is just, impotent against an entity that defies all known rules.
Even cream cheese.
Even cream cheese. A true wild card thrown in, probably out of sheer, desperate, almost comedic frustration. Could make a dent.
It paints this picture of humanity throwing absolutely everything it has. Rational military solutions, pure, unhinged desperation.
And utterly failing. It's like trying to stop a hurricane with a feather.
Or bagel, maybe?
Or, yeah, a dairy product.
So this guy just continued to dunk on everyone, seemingly without end, until one fateful day.
Yeah.
And here's where the story takes an incredibly jarring and intriguing twist. One that throws our entire understanding of his existence into disarray.
I'm braced.
The source says in simple, declarative terms. In 2002, Gianni was born.
Wait, what? Born?
Born.
In 2002. But he's been dunking since 1914.
Exactly. This sudden shift from this ancient, unstoppable, almost immortal force to a literal birth date. It's just mind-bending.
It throws the whole timeline into chaos. How can someone who's already been active for almost a century suddenly be born?
It's a profound temporal paradox right at the heart of his being.
And the immediate paradox it creates is just as profound, maybe even more so. What happens next?
Gianni attempted to dunk on Gianni, but astonishingly he couldn't.
The older Gianni tried to dunk on the baby Gianni.
Seems like it. The primordial Gianni encounters his younger, nascent self and finds a fundamental limit to his power.
Wow, okay. That's a crucial turning point.
Huge.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests this profound self-interaction, right? A fundamental rule that even Gianni's overwhelming power couldn't break.
Like an irresistible force meeting an immovable object. Only the force is the object.
Exactly. This inability to harm his own younger self hints at some deeply ingrained, maybe universal law of self-preservation or temporal consistency.
Like the universe itself stepping in.
Maybe. Saying, look, you can reshape history, but you cannot fundamentally negate your own existence. Not like that.
Not in that direct, violent, self-annihilating way.
Yeah. This isn't just a physical limitation. It's a profound existential one. It suggests a unique, almost sacred untouchability of one's own nascent self, a core identity that even the dunk god cannot violate.
And the consequences of this inability were immediate. And in true Gianni fashion, completely paradoxical.
Of course they were.
The source states, in retaliation, Gianni dumped on Gianni, effectively ending his reign of terror.
Wait, in retaliation, the baby dunked on the original Gianni.
That's how it reads. The younger version retaliates for the attempted dunk and succeeds where the elder failed.
So the original unstoppable Gianni is finally taken down. Not by armies, not by nukes, not by cream cheese,
Nope.
but by a younger version of himself, after failing to dunk on that younger version.
It's a deeply personal and incredibly self-referential resolution to a global problem.
You read that and think, okay, that's it, finally. The dunk god is gone, brought down by his own inherent limitations. Poetic justice, almost.
Almost.
Ah, but unfortunately, and perhaps predictably for a force like Gianni. The story doesn't end there, does it?
Not quite. The very next sentence pivots, highlighting the persistent, almost cursed nature of Gianni's existence and power.
Let me guess.
But unfortunately, Gianni would go on to dunk on everybody.
Sighs. Of course he would. So the reign of terror wasn't truly over. It just shifted form.
Seems like it. Was it the new, younger Gianni who continued the legacy, now imbued with the elder Gianni power, maybe?
Or was the initial ending just temporary? A pause before the power reasserted itself through the next iteration, like an eternal recurrence of the dunk god archetype.
It raises that important question about true cessation, right? Was the reign of terror really over, or did it just shift form, perhaps becoming something even more uncontrollable?
A fundamental law of the universe that this specific being simply embodies, regardless of the individual Gianni.
Yeah, like the idea of Gianni, the dunk god, is more powerful than any singular incarnation.
Wow.
And to really drive home the point about his unparalleled dominance, even in this new iteration, the source gives us this list. Notable adversaries such as LeBron James, Vince Carter, and even Michael Jackson attempted to dunk on him, but to no effect. Gianni was just too powerful.
Okay, now we're bringing in real-world icons. LeBron, Vince Carter, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson tried to dunk on him.
That adds such a layer of pop culture absurdity that just perfectly encapsulates this whole story.
Doesn't it? These are figures known for incredible athleticism, gravity-defying dunks, huge cultural impact.
Yet even they, in their absolute prime, couldn't touch Gianni.
It reinforces his singular, unstoppable nature, a power that transcends even the greatest human feats.
Making him a legend even among legends. A true apex predator in the world of dunking.
It's almost comical picturing that, but it clearly establishes his place at the absolute zenith of this unique ability. Untouchable.
So Gianni carries on. Untouchable. Unstoppable.
Right.
Even by the likes of LeBron James and MJ.
Right. Seemingly unchallenged by anyone or anything.
But then, something shifts internally.
Yeah. An unthinkable idea sparks in his mind. He decides to challenge the one being he couldn't conquer. Himself. The source says, Gianni then attempted something unthinkable. If no one could dunk on him, could he dunk on himself? He invented a time machine to go back in time a year and dunk on himself.
He invents a time machine, just like that.
Apparently, to go back and dunk on himself from a year ago?
That is truly audacious. It shows this profound level of, well, scientific ingenuity, maybe, or pseudoscientific ingenuity.
Definitely pseudoscientific. Combined with this relentless, almost obsessive drive to overcome his own inherent limitations.
He literally wants to transcend himself, to prove his absolute dominance even over his own existence, to resolve the paradox of his earlier failure.
Against the baby Gianni.
Right. What's fascinating here is that internal struggle. It's a powerful entity trying to overcome its own limits, even if those limits are self-imposed or inherent to its nature.
It's an existential quest for dominance over his own existence, a desire to completely master his own being, even if it means messing with time.
This isn't about global domination anymore, is it? It's about a deeply personal, almost philosophical conquest of self.
He wants to prove his power is absolute, even against the one entity that seems immune, a nascent version of himself.
It's an attempt to break free from his own inherent rules, to finally complete the circuit of his power.
But, as often happens with ambitious time travel plots,
There's always a catch.
there's a critical hitch, a major malfunction, the source states. However, his invention malfunctioned, sending him back to the year 1914.
Oh no, not 1914.
1914, and here's where it gets really interesting, and frankly a bit terrifying for our understanding of free will and causality.
What happens? Does he try to change things, knowing what he knows?
Well, the source tells us that this new Gianni, the one born from the time travel malfunction, proceeds to literally reenact his entire known history, precisely as we've just discussed.
No, really. Everything.
Everything. From dunking on Archduke Franz Ferdinand and sparking World War I, through his wartime exploits, the Germans outlawing basketball, the post-war rampage, dunking on Poland, starting WW2.
The 7,000 dunks, dunking on Adolf.
Yep. The futile efforts of the UN and NATO, the cream cheese incident,
The birth of his younger self in 2002.
the failed self-dunk, the retaliation dump.
Even the LeBron, Vince Carter, Michael Jackson encounters.
All of it. It's a complete, precise replay of every major event we've covered, all leading him back to the very moment he invents the time machine.
To go back and dunk on himself again.
Exactly. The entire grand, chaotic saga unfolds exactly as before.
Wow. Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
This isn't just a simple mistake or slight deviation.
No way.
It's a full, precise reenactment of his entire known history, down to every detail. It's a truly closed loop, a temporal prison.
There seems to be no escape.
And this profoundly implies a deterministic universe for Gianni, doesn't it?
Explain that a bit. Deterministic universe.
It means that for Gianni, every choice he thinks he's making, every attempt to change his path, it ultimately serves only to fulfill a pre-written destiny.
Like his life story is already written.
Exactly. Like it's a novel that's already been published, and he's just endlessly rereading the chapters, convinced he can change the ending.
Only to find himself back at the start, doing it all over again.
Down to the last detail. His free will becomes an illusion, a powerful but ultimately futile dance within a preordained sequence.
So his desire to break free from the cycle actually causes the cycle.
It perpetuates it. It makes the malfunction not an error, but a pre-programmed event within his own loop. It's a cosmic joke, really.
Where the only way to try and escape is to ensure the escape never happens.
So what does this all mean for free will, then? I mean, really, if Gianni keeps reliving the same history over and over, is he truly in control?
Or is he just a pawn in his own paradox?
It feels like the latter. He's stuck in this infinite recursive loop, constantly creating the conditions for his own past, present, and future.
Every choice he makes, every action, just leads him back to the beginning to do it all again.
It's an existential nightmare. Imagine being a godlike figure trapped in your own self-fulfilling prophecy.
A master of time and space who is simultaneously its ultimate slave.
And our source, by having him repeat that entire sequence of events verbatim, just hammers home the inescapable nature of this cycle.
He even invents the time machine again to try and dunk on himself again.
It's not just cosmic déjà vu. It's the very definition of a predestined fate.
But with world wars and celebrity dunks thrown in for good measure.
His power is immense, undeniably, but his freedom, seemingly non-existent.
Okay, so Gianni, having just repeated his entire history again, attempts the self-dunk again, the time machine malfunctions again.
You'd expect him to land back in 1914 again, right? To keep the loop going.
That's what I thought. But this time, the malfunction is different, truly different.
Oh.
This one takes him not to his own past, but far, far into the future. The source says his invention malfunctioned, sending him to the year 2641.
2641. Okay, that's new territory, a completely new destination.
Seems like he might have actually broken free from the recursive prison of his past, finally.
So what happens there at 2641?
Well, he encounters something remarkable and even more fantastical, if that's possible.
Go on.
There, he dunked on Gianni, the god worshipped by the Dunkmen. He became the new Dunkmen god, dunking on them for all eternity.
Gianni,
Yeah.
the god of the Dunkmen.
That's what it says, an entire civilization, the Dunkmen, who worship a god named Gianni.
And our Gianni just dunks on him and takes over.
Takes over, becomes the new Dunkmen god, ruling apparently for all eternity.
This elevates Gianni from just like a historical catalyst
Or a paradox.
to a full-on cosmic mythological figure. He doesn't just influence world events, he transcends to become a literal deity.
Wow.
It raises that question again, though. Does Gianni's power naturally seek out the highest form of dominance? Or is he just destined to replace existing power structures, even divine ones, regardless of his intention?
It suggests his inherent nature is just to be at the apex, to be the ultimate dunker.
And that this power will always find its way to the top,
Yeah.
even if that top is a pantheon of gods.
He's not just a man anymore, he's a fundamental force, a cosmic constant whose purpose is to occupy the pinnacle of any existing power hierarchy.
It's a testament to the uncontainable, self-asserting nature of his unique ability.
So, he's the new Dunkmen god, ruling for eternity. You'd think this would be the final stable state for our Gianni.
Ultimate victory. The ultimate reign. Finally, some peace.
You'd think. But the universe and Gianni's existence within it,
Yeah.
well, it's rarely stable, especially when he's involved.
Let-
Because the story continues with a phrase that just demands a double take. That is, until 2377, when Gianni encountered Gianni and Gianni.
Wait. 2377. That's before 2641, where he became God.
Good catch. Okay, so the timeline here gets even more tangled. Did he time travel again after becoming God, or is this another version? The source isn't clear on the sequence, just the event. But the key thing is,
He encountered Gianni and Gianni. 3 of them.
3 Giannis in play simultaneously.
Okay, that's peak absurdity, and a truly mind-bending paradox for you, the listener, to grapple with.
Right. How do 3 versions of the same all-powerful being coexist and interact? Especially when their very nature is to dominate.
The implications for identity, for power, they're just staggering. What happens?
Well, what's fascinating is the sheer self-referential nature and the resulting inevitable instability. The sequence is critical and, frankly, a perfect demonstration of self-destruction. Listen to this. Gianni attempted to dunk on Gianni, but Gianni interfered, then dunked on Gianni. Gianni, unfortunately, died.
Okay, let me try and parse that. Gianni 1 tries to dunk on Gianni 2.
Right.
Gianni 3 interferes, stops Gianni 1.
Seems so.
Then Gianni 3 dunks on Gianni 1. Or Gianni, the source says Gianni.
It just says Gianni interfered, then dunked on Gianni, and then Gianni unfortunately died. It doesn't specify which Gianni died immediately.
Okay, so one of them dies in the chaos. Then what?
Then Gianni dunks on Gianni, ending the conflict.
So the survivor dunks on the other survivor.
Looks like it. We started with 3, 1 dies in the middle, then 1 dumps on the last remaining other one, ending with just 1 Gianni again.
Wow. Okay, so we have 3 versions demonstrating this fundamental instability when his singular, overwhelming power multiplies. The system just cannot sustain itself.
It collapses.
The initial attempt to dunk triggers an intervention, a chain reaction of self-inflicted violence. One Gianni dies, a literal fratricide of the self.
And the conflict ends, but at a huge cost.
It suggests that even the dunk god has a definitive limit when confronted by multiple versions of his own power. It leads to a self-destructive outcome.
It's the ultimate internal conflict, the universe itself struggling to contain such an overwhelming, singular force when it fragments.
It implies that for Gianni, true stability is only possible in singularity. Multiplicity leads to annihilation.
That's the ultimate paradox of an all-powerful being, isn't it? Its greatest threat comes from within, from itself.
And the consequence of this triple Gianni conflict is devastating, far beyond just the tragic loss of one Gianni.
Yeah, this part is rough, the source tells us starkly. However, it resulted in the deaths of all the Dunkmen.
All of them. The entire civilization.
The entire civilization that worshipped him,
Yeah.
wiped out, all stemming directly from the paradoxical interaction of three versions of himself.
He went from becoming their god, their ultimate protector and ruler.
To being the direct cause of their absolute extinction.
The ultimate power, when fragmented and turned against itself, brings about the ultimate destruction, wiping out not just himself essentially, but everything he had come to embody and rule.
It's a terrifying illustration of the chaotic consequences of unchecked self-defeating power.
And following this catastrophe, what does the surviving Gianni do?
The source describes Gianni's final recorded action in this timeline. So Gianni attempted to go back in time to the year 2025.
2025, our near future. Why then?
The source doesn't say why 2025 specifically, but the attempt itself is telling, isn't it?
It suggests maybe a profound moment of reflection, even remorse, after witnessing the complete annihilation of a society he came to rule.
It feels like it. A desperate attempt to undo a consequence of his own uncontainable power, to rectify an error, or maybe just to escape the horrific outcome of his triple self-encounter.
This is maybe the first time we see anything resembling a moral calculation.
Yeah.
Or a desire to prevent destruction rather than just instigate it.
It hints at a flicker of self-awareness, a realization of the catastrophic chain reactions his power creates, even when turned inward.
It's a desperate leap, maybe hoping to reset the board entirely. Get back to a time before all this cosmic horror. #tag outro.
So after literally creating and ending world wars,
Battling LeBron James and Michael Jackson.
getting stuck in infinite deterministic time loops,
Becoming a cosmic god.
and then presiding over the extinction of his entire worshipping civilization due to a paradoxical three-way fight with himself.
Just recounting it is exhausting.
Right. Gianni attempts one final desperate jump back to 2025. And then, the source just says, he then woke up confused and went on with his normal life.
He just woke up.
Woke up, confused, went on with his normal life. That's it.
Was it all a dream? The entire thing?
Pirate.
Franz Ferdinand, the wars, the time loops, Giga Gianni, the Dunkmen.
Or maybe a cosmic reset button, pressed by the universe itself to contain the ultimate paradox it couldn't handle anymore.
Or did the sheer overload of temporal paradoxes, the weight of that deterministic existence, this self-destructive fragmentation, did it just short-circuit his epic godlike existence?
Leaving him with nothing but confusion and a sudden, jarring return to mundane reality.
It's an incredibly abrupt, bewildering, and, frankly, anticlimactic end to such a monumental, universe-altering saga.
The Gianni effect concludes not with a bang, but with a bewildered shrug.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, though, Gianni's story, for all its outlandishness and the specific details the source gives us, it presents a really fascinating thought experiment.
On causality.
Recursive timelines, the very nature of unchecked power, even the concept of the self.
From sparking world wars without remorse,
To becoming a god.
and ultimately facing versions of himself in a self-destructive paradox.
Gianni is a testament to the unpredictable and often self-consuming nature of an uncontained force.
His journey highlights how attempts to control or even just understand such immense power often lead to deeper, more intricate paradoxes.
Culminating in either endless repetition or utter collapse.
So the Gianni effect, then, isn't just about global influence.
No, it's about the inherent self-defeating nature of absolute power when it comes up against the immutable laws of existence and identity.
And you, our curious listener, now have a whole new lens, maybe, through which to view history, free will, the fragility of reality.
And perhaps the profound, world-altering consequences of inventing time machines for purely personal dunking challenges.
It makes you wonder about the true catalysts of history, doesn't it? Maybe it wasn't always a king or a political movement or some deep-seated economic tension.
But just one really, really powerful, absurdly impactful dunk.
It's a reminder that even the most profound truths can sometimes be found wrapped in the most ridiculous packaging.
Which leaves us with a final question.
Oh.
Something for you to mull over.
Okay.
If Gianni could only truly be stopped by a version of himself,
Mm-hmm.
and his repeated attempts to change his own past only led to its precise repetition or even greater unforeseen chaos and destruction,
Yeah.
does this suggest that some forces are inherently self-fulfilling? That some destinies are inescapable? And if so, is the only true escape from such an inescapable predetermined destiny a complete, perhaps unconscious withdrawal from the game altogether?
A literal waking up confused and going on with a normal life, effectively erasing the memory of the impossible saga.
Exactly. It's a quiet, almost unsettling conclusion to such a loud and chaotic existence, leaving us to wonder if the greatest power is ultimately the power to simply walk away.